All right, welcome once again to our mathematics meal. We are still on plane geometry 1, and so far we have looked at the meaning of geometry, and we have also looked at straight lines and the different forms of what? Of straight lines. Now, today we are going to move to the next objective, which is angles and types of what? Angles. That's what we are going to consider briefly today. Remember that you need to like our Facebook page and also subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'll be getting our videos steadily. Okay, without taking much time, let's begin with the business of the day. So we have to look at angles. We have to look at angles and types of angles. So angles and types. Okay, it's beautiful enough. Very beautiful. So, what do we mean by an angle? And when do we form angles? So we say an angle is formed. An angle is formed when two or more straight line or angles are formed. Let's use multiple forms so that we'll not just be talking about angles are formed. Angles are formed when two or more straight lines meet. So we form angles when we have a meeting for two or more straight lines. So when two or more straight lines meet, we form angles. When there is intersection of two or more straight lines. So we can have this a line, this a line. This place is what? Angle. Because this is a line, this is a straight line. So wherever two or more straight lines meet, we must have what? An angle. We have just two lines here, so we can still have that. So in this case, we have angles, about 3. This is an angle, this is an angle, this is also an angle. So when we have two or more straight lines meeting, then angles will be what? Angles will be formed. Now the unit of angle, the unit of angle is degree, which is this. So when we measure angle, we can have something like 60 degrees. We can have what? Something like 75 degrees, and say 120 degrees, and so on and so forth. So the unit of angle is degree. There are other units like radians in physics, especially when we look at wave motion and maybe in simple harmonic motion also. We talk about angles in radians. The radians, those of you that do physics, you know about 360 is equivalent to 2 pi radians. In your wave, you see that this is a mathematics class, so you will not be looking at that. But in mathematics, the unit that we usually use is the word degree. That's degree. Now the instrument used in measuring angles is protractor. A protractor. If you have a mathematical set, you will see a protractor. That instrument that looks like a semicircle. That's this. I know you must have seen this before, but this is the one we use for demonstration in the class. The one in your math set is smaller. You know this in your math set. This is what we use in measuring what? Angle. It's called protractor. It's called protractor. We're going to use it by the time we start looking at geometrical construction. Remember, we are still in plane geometry 1. In plane geometry 2, we look at shapes. And then in plane geometry 3, we start doing geometrical construction. We'll construct angles, construct lines, construct bisectors of angles, bisectors of line, locus, and so on and so forth. That's when we'll start using this. This is a protractor. That's the instrument we use in the measurement of what? Of angles. The instrument you use in measuring angles. Alright, let's look at some types. Types of angles. Types of angles. There are so many types of angles. We just run through them. One, we have acute angles. Acute angles. They are angles that are less than 90 degrees. So any angle that is less than a right angle, angles that are less than 90 degrees are referred to as acute angle. 30 degrees, 40 degrees, 50, 80 degrees, 89 degrees. They are all acute because they are less than what? 90 degrees. Then we have obtuse angles. They are angles that are greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180 degrees. So angles that are greater than 90 degrees but are less than 180 degrees, they are referred to as what? Obtuse what? Obtuse angle. Angles that are greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees, they are referred to as obtuse what? Obtuse angle. So we have angle like 120. 120 is greater than 90 degrees but less than what? 180. So 120 is actually an obtuse angle. So when an angle is greater than 90 but less than 180, that angle will be what? Will be an obtuse angle. So two conditions there for an angle to be an obtuse angle. One, the angle will be greater than 90. Then two, the angle will be less than what? 180. So if that angle fulfills one condition, then it will not be obtuse. If the angle is greater than 90 and also greater than 180, it's not obtuse. So obtuse angle are angles that are greater than 90 or less than 180. We talk about reflex angle. Reflex angles. They are angles that are greater than 180 degrees. So when angles are greater than 180 degrees, we refer to them as reflex angle. Then we have right angles. A right angle is an angle that is equal to 90 degrees. So when an angle is equal to 90 degrees, that angle is what? A right angle. You must know this, they are common. Then we talk about complementary angle. Complementary angles. So two angles are complementary if their sum is 90 degrees. So two angles are said to be complementary if their sum will give us what? 90 degrees. That's complementary angles now. Complementary angles. Then each of them is the complement of the other. So each, in complementary angles, each is the complement of the other. So in complementary angles, each is the complement of the other. So if A plus B is 90 degrees, then A and B are complementary angles. Complementary angles. So if A plus B is 90 degrees, then A and B are what? Are complementary angles. Thus, A is the complement of what? B. And B is the complement of A. So someone can ask you, what is the complement of 50 degrees? It means what will be added to 50 to make what? 90, and that will be what? 40 degrees. What's the complement of 0 degrees? What will I add to 0 to form 90? That will be 90 what? Degrees. Now what will be the complement of 35 degrees? That will be 55 degrees. What I will add to 35 to give me what? To give me 90. That's the complement. So two angles are said to be complementary if their sum will give us what? 90 degrees. So if A plus B is 90 and A is 60, it means that B will be what? 30. So the complement of 60 is what? 30, because it's when I add 30 to 60 that I can form what? 90 degrees. Okay. We also talk about supplementary angles. Supplementary angles. Angles are supplementary if their sum is 180 degrees. If their sum, we're going to see this a lot. By the time we get to circle geometry, one of the theories in circle geometry, we talk about opposite angles of a cyclic point. We say they are supplementary. So when you get to that point, and you now understand, it will not be difficult for you to understand what they mean by opposite angles of a cyclic quadrilateral are supplementary. Okay. So when the sum of angles results to what? 180 degrees, then those angles are said to be what? Supplementary angles. Now there are other angles that we are going to explain. We'll be talking about when we get to relationship between angles of line. We'll be looking at vertically opposite angles. We'll also look at corresponding angles. And then we look at alternate angles. These two will be treated using parallel lines. Then this one will be treated using intersecting what? Intersecting lines. Okay. We're still going to go for a short break. I believe that so far you have known the meaning of angle and the various types of what? Angles. When we return, we'll start looking at relationship that exists between lines and the what? And angles. And that will actually help you in the next objective, which is calculations involving what? Lines, or calculation involving angles on lines. Don't go too far. Mathematics is sweet, you can see it. Mathematics is beautiful, you can see it. Mathematics is also handsome for the guys, you can also see it. Mathematics is lovely, you can see it. Mathematics is very, very delicious, you can see it. And that's why we bring mathematics meal to you from time to time to help you keep healthy in mathematics. As you continue to feed on our meal on daily basis, Washioko in mathematics will be far away from you. You will not be mathematically deficient. Rather, you will be mathematically strong. Continue to enjoy mathematics meal and continue to study your book. Thank you.